Hi, Chad. Hi, Chad. Hi, hi. Hi, hi. I didn't know that the dragon dance was gone. Hello. Oh. Huh? Hi, hi. Okay. 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 We have to call Jesse real quick. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm doing good. As soon as you called me, my dad just called for me to come upstairs.
Oh, you can do that.
I'm so sorry.
You're okay.
The audio sounds a lot better though.
Does it good?
Yeah. I love you. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Like so quick, you won't even know that I'm gone.
Okay. I
Like
trust you.
you went like in the blink of an eye.
Okay, I trust you.
Super quick.
Okay, I trust you.
Like Sonic fast.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm actually going.
Okay, go.
Love you.
Um, you did enough to cut me off. Think I like it when it happened. I know we were nothing. Okay. I think I have everything set up. Oh my god, I don't know actually how long he's gonna take. Think of when he screwed me over. Okay. I actually have no idea. He said super fast, but it does not feel like super fast. I don't know. Hi, Mimic! Welcome in! It's been so long. Knock, knock, knock. Hello, hello. It has, I'm sorry. You're so good. Sometimes it's okay to take breaks from my streams. but that's okay. Are you ready to see me simp over fictional jesters? Ugh. The first time I show up in a while being freak stickers makes me look like a freak. I don't know what you're talking about. I thought you were always a freak. A what? Who said that? I didn't. Totally not. But hi! Hello. I don't know if you've seen this model yet. Is it pretty? Here, let me zoom in. Look, it's me. I'm the one with the hands. It's pretty, thank you. I'm so excited. I keep seeing this all over my TikTok. You guys are gonna have to excuse me though, because I am very sick. So I don't know if I can monologue for a lot of it. It's taking over my Twitter. I haven't seen it on anything other than TikTok, in all honesty. Oh my god, wait. You look like the rainbow on my screen. But yeah, I've mainly seen like cosplays and like art of it, and I always thought it was amazing. So, that's what we're doing. Do I have... I don't know where mine... Hi, Bagman! I didn't know Ghost could get sick. Yeah, I got hit with the influenza. Get it? Get it? Get it? Get it? Beak? Okay, good. Tag, you're in. Tag, you're in. Grab my hand, push me down. Take the words right out my mouth. Tag, you're in. Tag, you're in. Chase me, anyone, stop. Tag. The influenza was instant. You were fine yesterday. I actually wasn't fine yesterday. I got sent home yesterday. I got sent home from work. But I've been having really bad nausea with my sickness. And so it's really hard for me to speak for very long periods of time, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Nothing I can't already do. Ow, my arm. Years old. Okay. I just noticed a little wisp in your ear. Yeah! What is this? Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love the little, like, wisps in my ears. Okay, that one's my pout one. Or that's my pleading. What is this? I see. I hope you feel better soon. I will. I only have one day of work tomorrow. So I kind of just have to, like, bust through it, in all honesty.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome in.
Hi, honey.
Hello, hello.
Thank you.
Yo.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
One day work on a single
good, how
day,
are
no
you?
way peak. Alright. I'm good. Are you ready?
Good. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah.
But the man speaks.
You have intrigued me with this because I see your TikToks.
Yeah.
I do speaks.
I've been really intrigued as well. Hold on, I gotta turn it down so my model doesn't lag.
Yeah, you're good. I was worried about that.
It'll be fine.
Hi, Bagman.
Hi, Bagman. Okie doke. Is it still sharing?
It is.
Alright. Are we ready to talk with some jesters?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I should. I
Yeah.
think there's music for this. I don't know though.
Is there any sound playing right now?
Currently? No.
Understood. I'm not schizophrenic.
Okay. Yeah. A few quick instructions. Okay. Text in this color represents the protagonist's narration and observations. Text in parentheses shows their thoughts and appears in this color. Remember to adjust the game volume. Some sounds may be louder. Enjoy the game. Oh.
Portuguese. Oh, you're so Portuguese.
What are your pronouns? She, her. What is the name on your bag? Ghosty. Another chilly day to head to work. The weather's been so all over the place lately. Ooh. Oh no. Chat can barely hear that.
Oh, I can check.
Hold on, I got you. Chat, it's not working.
It's not going up.
It's like, hello, Puyo! It's very, very quiet. Very quiet on my end. Do I have to turn it up? Is it because I turned down the music settings?
I hear you fongling with your mic.
No. Okay, I think that might be good. We'll see.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, ugh, this again. They've been talking for a while about some traveling circus coming to town. They've been around for 3 days, spamming the town with flyers and random stunts. Their style's their style is pretty eccentric, but honestly, it's way better than those typical clowns with the colorful outfits. Those ones give me the creeps with their red noses and tacky rainbow wigs. The Freak Circus of Horrors. Hey, get out of here, weirdo. Oh. Ever since you guys showed up, people have been disappearing. Go back to whatever hellhole you crawled out of. People have been treating them harshly, but just because someone ran off with a lover doesn't mean it's the circus's fault, right? Wonder. I mean, I didn't really pay much attention.
If you want.
I mean, I didn't really pay attention to the news to get the full story anyway. But apparently on their first day here, someone went missing. Although there are rumors that they ran off with a lover. The Freak Circus of Horrors? Ah, hell yeah, give me the clissy. Alright, so Bagman's banned.
Bruh. Timeout, Bagman. Okay. Bagman is being timed out for 3 seconds.
I'm talking to you, freak. Get out of town. Okay, that guy's really crossing the line now. Intervene, yell at the man, or do nothing. What would I do? I feel like if we're like talking
in an IRL
realistic
situation, you do nothing.
Yeah, if we're talking realistic, I'd do nothing. I'd be too scared. But what is this ghosty want to do? What does this version of her want to do? I feel like intervening and yelling at the man is very similar, is it not? I'll yell at him. Hey, you.
Okay.
That's not nice. What do you think you're doing? You can't just attack someone like that. I'm calling the police. Yes, that's right. You're going way too far. Wake up, you idiots. They're the ones kidnapping people. Stop with the paranoid nonsense. People go missing all the time. To hell with all of you. The man walks away. Are you okay? I'll help you get up. Damn, he's really tall. He made little bell jingles. Did you hear that? It went ding ding ding. I love bells. Okay. Oh no, this is not wanting to stay. What happened? Why is it not wanting to stay? Did I break it? Did I break my mic?
Your mic?
Why don't you want to stay? Okay. Damn, he's really tall. Some people are kind of hot-headed. Better not get too close, you know? He nods. Comfort him or offer a bandage? He's not bleeding, he just got hit. Maybe comfort him and be like, man, that sucked, I'm sorry. Not everyone flips out like that guy. You'll be fine, okay? He walks up and slowly tilting his head, watching you. So silent. Well, I gotta go or I'll be late. Take care, okay? You step back and give a small wave before heading on your way. Oh, who is this? You got here just in time. It's busier than usual with the cold. So, start as soon as you can. Carol's running late and I've been covering for her. The orders are already on the counter. Please take them to the table. You covered her whole shift. Is she okay? I couldn't reach her. Maybe she's not feeling well. That is such an understanding boss. I feel like if I wasn't being able to reach out to, my boss would send like a whole army to come see if I'm okay. Got it. I'll get started. Sure, thanks. Click on the tables to deliver orders. Oh, bet. Here you go, your hot chocolate. Thanks, I've been really craving something warm with this chilly weather. It got cold all of a sudden, didn't it? Yeah, the weather's all over the place. You leave the house with a jacket and an umbrella and you still end up sweating by the end of the day. Haha. Why is there elevator music? What cafe? For real. If you need anything else, just let me know, okay? Perfect. Ouch, this coffee's hot. Better get it to them quick. Well, I don't know which one I'm getting. A coffee with cheese bread and a cappuccino with a brownie, right? That's right, thanks. Hey barista, did you see the news? Not yet today. Did something happen? They're still talking about the one who disappeared. Oh, well, isn't that the one who ran off with a lover or something? No one really knows for sure. I just wanted to say, be careful if you're leaving late, okay? This place closes quite late, so stay alert, alright? Will do. Thanks for the heads up, and
Did
enjoy
you
your
know
coffee.
that ara ara backwards is ara ara.
Thanks. I didn't know that. I will do. Thanks for the heads up and enjoy your coffee. Bagman, you sound disappointed. The way my head whipped over. It's really sweet of them to care. Maybe I should start keeping an eye out on the news sometime. Good afternoon. Here's your espresso and macchiato. Can I get you anything else? Thanks. I was dying for some coffee. Did you see those flyers for the circus? Yeah, weird, right? It's been ages since traveling circus came to town. And the clowns are so creepy. Probably good for their marketing, though. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're all set. We don't need anything else right now. No problem. Just call me if you need anything. You arrange the trays neatly before making your way to the next table. I am. I don't know what I was expecting. That's what half of my redeems are. I'm sick of ripping those flyers off my window. Don't let anyone hand them out in here. And when you have a minute, go around and pick up the ones scattered around. Got it. Some people are kind of rude to the circus folks, don't you think? The way they act freaks people out. Best to keep them away. Bad for business. Understood, boss. Oh, so now I gotta pick up all the flyers. Oh, there's more. Customers keep leaving these on the table. Look,
Game over. I died. Oh no. Restart. Restart? 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 Would you like to restart?
Was that on my stream too? Did you see that?
No,
I wasn't.
but I saw it on. I have your actual stream popped up.
Oh,
the other
gotcha.
side.
Yeah, that's good. The way I'm cackling in my chair right now. Okay. Oh, you didn't see it? I got you.
I can't see it because Ghost isn't sharing her full screen. Oh.
Game over. I died. Oh no. Restart. 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 Would you like to restart?
I'm fucking crying. Oh man. Thanks. I like a strong hot coffee. I'll bring it right away. Oh. Here's your coffee.
It's Sans.
Hydrate? Okay. Thanks, it's really cold outside. What's with those flyers? Someone was handing them out, I had to pick them all up. How rude to do that in a place of business, right? Yeah, it just creates more work for everyone else. Join Ghosty's stream today, I said. It'll be fun, I said. If you want, I can take them for you. I'll toss them out when I leave. No big deal. I was gathering some paper for recycling anyway. Really? In that case, that's better than just throwing them away. Thanks. No problems, dear. Oh, what was that? Do you like the circus? Huh? I think I might be a little too old for that now. Nonsense. The circus isn't just for kids. They got some pretty creepy stuff. So you been to the circus? Even though I don't really like chatting with people, it's part of my job to be polite. Still, it's always a little uncomfortable when customers try to keep me talking. Are you even listening? Sorry? Haha, thought so. Anyway, here, take this. Go on, check it out, and then try telling me it didn't give you chills. No, I can't accept something like that. Don't worry, I already went. I was thinking of going again, but I'll be leaving town soon. Keep it or sell it if you want. Well, take it. Thank you. I might try and go one day. I'll be glad to know someone used my ticket. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to work. Let me know if you need anything else. Is this like partial horror game? I thought this was a dating sim. As soon as the last customers leave, close everything up and clean the place. We're closing early tonight. Did something happen? I have an unexpected appointment, and since you're working alone today, I'd rather you didn't leave too late. But I've got to go now. Take care of everything? Yeah, no problem. Leave it to me. Call me if anything comes up. Will do. See ya. Nice. Shorter work hours, but I hope Carol's okay. Hey there. Here's the payment. I'm heading out. Have a good night. Good night, sir. Perfect. Now I just need to clean the tables and I'm out of here. Sorry, we're closed. Huh? But I heard the bell. Hello? I'm not imagining things. Someone could be in here, and they turned off the lights, but I can see the switches from here. Boss? Is that you? Oh! Right. Calm down. I'm overthinking this. I'll just go around the corner, or go around the counter and turn them back on. I can't shake this feeling that I'm being watched. Okay, first I'll pick up a knife? Sure. You take a small kitchen knife. This makes me feel a bit safer. Now, turn on the lights. You're under the counter and try turning the lights back on. Damn, it's the breaker. Okay, stay calm. This is normal. It's happened before. You open the panel and reset the breaker. Phew, it was all in my head. Damn it, I should have locked the door. On high alert, you swiftly turn around as you speak once again. Sorry, we're closed. Ah, you're the guy from earlier. Oh my, you're bleeding. Are you okay? Should I be worried about this guy? He seems kind of harmless. Maybe because he's always hurt. He stares, curious, at the small knife in your hands. You smile awkwardly and put the knife away. Ah, sorry. Well? I mean, he's bleeding. I can't just send him away. Plus, I'm still technically on the clock. I hope I don't regret this. Sit at the counter, I'll help you with that. What a weird mask. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a mask or just a ton of makeup. You grab a paper napkin from the counter and gently wipe his face. You don't talk, or is that part of the act? He seems to glance around before stepping a little closer. I can't be seen talking. Ah, so it's part of the act. Yes, my lady. I sincerely appreciate all your help. Do you say parrot? Is that parrot, or is that like Pierre?
Pierre.
But what if it's like French and like the T's silent? Or something, I don't know.
Piero?
I don't know. Is it parrot? Pierre? Pierre? How do you say this name?
Pierre.
Chat help. How do you say that? What name is this, chat? Is this like parrot?
It's Pierre.
Pierrot. I don't trust you.
Oh man.
Ah, man.
Your relationship.
Piero?
I can trust it.
Oh, so you don't say the
Piero.
T. Pierrot. Pierrot is all I'm hearing. Piero. Wait, how do you say this name? I'm actually pressed. Think you did it when you read mine? Huh? I gotta go. Good luck with the jesters. Thank you. Bye, Mick. We're just gonna say it's Pierre. Or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'll figure out how to say his name.
Give him a cool nickname.
Pie.
Like Mr. Swags.
Pyrot.
Oh.
Pierrot. Pyrera. Nice
Let's
to
just call
meet
him
you. I'm
Perry,
Ghosty.
that's fine.
I know. Oh, he straight up just said I know. Did you see that? Oh my god, I hate that they do that with the text where like tiny little things, if you're not looking, will catch you. Okay. Okay, that has to be an actual thing. Hold on. Someone said it's Piero.
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 I don't know. I'm gonna say it's a parrot. Huh, a parrot? But you don't really look like one.
A parrot.
Wait, what? Indeed, you are right, my lady. We are required to modernize my attire, but my role remains unchanged. Oh, he's a type of jester then. People have been pretty rough with you guys. I think that's what he is a type of jester. So his name is like his type. You feel me?
Yeah.
Okay. People have been pretty rough with you guys. I suppose we may appear a touch uncanny. That tends to unsettle people. Do the Peros come out on the street with the flyers performed too? Indeed, the circus has but a small cast. We both perform and hand out flyers. Though I must say, I am the only Pero, my lady. The other jesters are jesters and harlequins. Yes, you are a
When
type
you
of
look
clown.
up the name, this guy is the first thing that comes up.
Fair enough. He pauses at the last part.
Also from Sexpedia. Sorry, go ahead.
He pauses at the last part, rolling his eyes slightly. Looks like he doesn't get along with everyone. That's actually kind of cool. So are the others quiet like you too? I'm the only one who remains silent. Though I do make an exception when it's just the two of us. Got it. Your secret's safe with me. Thank you, my lady. And I've brought you another small token of appreciation. A ticket? Don't worry, I just got one. You obtained a ticket? May I see it, my lady? Sure, here you go. Takes the ticket from your hands and holds it up in front of you. Whoa, cool trick, but why? Places the ticket into your hands. This ticket is incorrect. You wouldn't be allowed in with it. Please take mine instead. Incorrect? You mean it was fake? Indeed, counterfeit. Do not accept tickets from strangers, my lady. I would not want you to encounter trouble at the entrance. Right. Thanks. Why would that guy give me a fake one? I assure you, I'll make you smile during my performance. Can't wait to see it. And sorry to say this, but my boss told me to close up. We can't stay too long here. My water. I completely understand. I had hoped to arrive earlier, but I did not wish to cause you any distress, my lady. Honestly, I can see why some folks would feel uneasy. It's alright. This way we gotta talk a bit. Now I know you wouldn't have been able to answer me in public. That's true. Have a good night, my lady. Good night. Well, time to go home. I got back earlier and I still feel just as tired as on a normal day. At least my shift starts later tomorrow. I'll take a quick shower and crash in bed. I was unsure about the circus, but it might be fun. They have this kind of gothic and eccentric style, and the ticket was pretty expensive. Hope it's okay I agreed to go. What a cold wind. My door's open! Was my door open when I went to go shower? Much better. So sleepy. I'll just watch a bit of TV until I fall asleep. No! Do not address... Are we not addressing... The elephant in the room? Was that open? I'm scared now. Z.
Oh my god!
Ah, my lady, you're even more beautiful in your sleep. So fragile, so defenseless. You do not even know me, but I know everything about you. Every step you take, your routines, your preferences, even the way your brow furrows when you're confused or afraid. And utterly adorable. I knew the moment I saw you today. It was just a glance, but something inside me ignited, and now there's no turning back. There's nowhere left to run. I needed to see you with my own eyes, to be certain that you were real. And you are. You must be mine. You will be mine. Huh. A nightmare? What a scare. I guess I was just overthinking things from yesterday. Weird. I don't remember turning off the TV last night. Was I that tired? My TV shuts off automatically. Sometimes. No, I definitely didn't turn it off, and I have a strange taste in my mouth.
I turn off the TV.
Damn, I overslept. I'll just leave something on the TV while I have breakfast and get ready for work. Anchor William B. Not William A. Damn it. The circus's popularity has been rising, and it's become the main event of the season. Have you seen the show, William? Absolutely, but it's really not for the whole family. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. People are weirded out by the clown's design, but they're incredibly talented. I actually find them quite adorable. It's worth watching the performance. But be careful with the food at the stalls. Some have been shut down. Apparently a few people were selling food illegally near the circus. Oh, that always ends up happening. Time to go. I just need to find my bag. Now for a not-so-warm piece of news. Another girl went missing yesterday morning. She had family issues and never returned home. The family suspects she may have run away after an argument. Where is it? Where is it? I could have sworn I tossed my bag around here. However, a bag with her belongings was found near a city bus station. Police are investigating the area. Huh? Found it. Time to go. Ugh, flyers everywhere again. Are they polluting the city with these things? Care to visit the circus? I bet you'll be surprised. Here, take a flyer. No thanks. I already have a ticket. Oh, wonderful. You got one. Was it a pink one then? He started following me. I should have stayed quiet. It was red, actually. He stops in front of you, blocking your way. A red one. Excuse me. I don't want to be late. He lets you through, but keeps following you. A red one, huh? So that parrot gave you one. Interesting. I'm the Harlequin, ma'am. Ah, I've got an idea. How about we trade? I give you mine, and you give me that red one. What difference does it make? And why are there different colors? Oh my. Speak of the devil.
Fight.
The parrot snatches the green ticket from Harlequin's hand. Sigh. Did I just walk into some kind of act? I better slip away quietly. Such a shame you don't have a voice, huh, parrot? Guess you can say all those nasty things you're Guess you can't say all those nasty things you're thinking. Just wait till the jester hears about this. Ha! You take small steps, slowly backing away. Once you're in a safe distance from their argument, you pick up the paste and head to work. Sigh. Made it on time. Phew. Boss, I brought the keys. I'll be right back. I have to pee so bad. Entertain chat.
Go piss girl. Hey guys. It's me. Oh, we got some nice elevator music.
Hey! Are you peeing? That's cool. I love peeing and working late. I like cleaning the bathrooms when it's quiet out.
Honest misconception, I am not peeing. I'm actually just sitting here. But thank you for checking in, Simi. I appreciate it. What's going on? How's everything going? Doing okay. Just working. Planning on moving. Not the best talker. Oh, moving? Yeah. I'm moving in with Ghost. And I have to change everything in my life, but it'll be worth it. It's just a little stressful, and oh, message. Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, moving in with Ghost. I have a day planned, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. Good changes. Yes, very good changes. My opinion, at least. It'll be nice to leave my parents' house and be a free child. Because I never went to college, so I never had that, like, experience of going out and then, like, surviving or not. And I feel like that's an important experience to have, or I may live here forever. So, I'm really excited. I want to do stupid shit. Responsibly stupid shit. Yeah. Act my age, which isn't an old age. Still 19. So I can't wait to be dumb. Parents just moved to a different continent? What the fuck? Yeah, okay, that's... I mean, I'm moving pretty far away, but the whole continent's kind of crazy.
Meow.
Move to Europe? Okay, but that is kind of sick, though. I would love to visit. I've never left the country myself. Oh, hey, what's up?
Hello. Meow. Okay. Is he talking to a cop? Oh no. Did we get robbed last night? Oh my god, I need to put down my feet rest. But it wasn't letting me. Okay. Is he talking to a cop? Just leave the keys on the counter. I'll talk to you in a sec. What happened this time? The store looks fine. Doesn't seem like it was broken into. Did something happen to Carol? Oh no! Okay. Alright, was it a hassle closing the store last night? No, it was fine. What happened? Well, Carol didn't come home last night. Looks like she just ran away. She ran away. She had issues with her family, yeah, but running away like that? That's weird. She didn't show any signs she'd do so. Oh my god.
Brick!
She didn't show any signs she'd do something like this. She must have her reasons. If she shows up here, we're supposed to notify the police. Just drink water. I'm not doing it again.
Fuck.
Carol's probably not in a good state of mind. I'm gonna start looking for a new employee, so I'll be back doing interviews. Once your shift's...
Congratulations, but you know they watch that shit. I ain't even gonna get mad. I'm young, black and rich. She tryna sell me lies, bitch. I ain't buying shit. If we ain't talking money, then
Once your shift's over, you can head home. I've got the store covered. Oh, sure. I never thought she'd do something like that. Then again, I guess we were just co-workers. She never told me anything, but she was always so responsible, and she said she really needed this job. Maybe she was under a lot of stress at home. Sigh. Good morning. It's you again. Want something to drink, Pero? He nods and points at a milkshake. A milkshake? Isn't it a bit cold for that? Alright, have a seat and I'll bring you to your table. He nods again and walks away from the corner. Ghosty, did he buy anything? Yeah, a milkshake. Good. I don't want those guys hanging around here without buying anything. Let them know we don't allow flyering inside. Got it. Oh my god! Damn it, this again? Oh, whoa, you scared me. I thought you sat at the table or something. He's really close. He grabs your arm firmly, locking eyes with you, and then makes a gesture, calling you closer. What is it? He whispers. Is he being mean to you, my lady? Huh? my boss? No. He's just giving me some reminders. He's actually pretty nice. I'd forgotten he can't speak in front of others, but this is still really weird, especially with him crouching down and whispering like this. Will you come tonight? To the circus? Sure, I'll be there to watch. That makes me happy, Ghosty. Will you promise to use my ticket tonight, my lady? I promise. Sure, I promise. He's still holding my arm. Why are the claws on that glove so sharp? He noticed you staring at the claws on his gloves. He lets go of your arm and makes a silly face. What's with the tickets anyway? Mommy, look, a clown. Lucky you, huh? It's true, darling. He's quite big, isn't he? But this circus isn't for children. It'll give you nightmares. No! Oh, Jesus. Excuse me, I don't have all day. Can't you see me standing at the counter? Bring me my coffee. No sugar. Lazy one. Well, I need to get back to work. Just a second, ma'am. Looks like it's gonna be a long day. Here you go, sir. Your milkshake. What a weird combo. Strawberry, coffee, and chocolate. The impatient woman next to you sighs loudly and checks her watch. Yours is coming right up, ma'am. Pero carefully places the money in your hand along with a small chocolate bar. Oh, is this a tip for me? Thanks. He quickly nods and waves goodbye. As he turns around, you notice him staring at the grumpy woman before walking away. Too bad. I was curious to see if he'd take off the mask to drink that.
Damn it.
This guy. I've been running into him a lot since yesterday. I think he's kind of cute. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. It's kind of cute how he always shows up and brings me little gifts. Sorry for the wait. Ugh. This coffee is as awful as the service. I'm never coming back to this dump. Is that a promise? I'm so sorry. Sometimes rude customers just show up. What can you do? At least I got chocolate to cheer me up. So this is where you work, ma'am. Hello, Harlequin. He followed me too. Great. Good afternoon. Want something to drink? Of course. I'll take a nice coffee. I'll get it ready. He leans over the counter, watching you as you make the coffee. So, are you gonna finally accept my ticket? No, I already have one, and I promised I'd use it. You sure? It'd be so much more fun if you used mine. Why? That's a secret. Haha, these two. Here's your iced coffee. Alright. In that case, a little something for you. I'd love for you to wear it. Here, let me put it on. He steps closer and gently pins the pin to your shirt collar. He's not as tall as Pierre, but he still has to lean in quite a bit to reach. Oh, it's a little heart. You hear the claws of his gloves clink softly against the metal of the pin as he gives it a tap, chuckling under his breath in a low tone. I'm going to take you from him. Excuse me? You'll see. Anyway, here's the payment. See you there. See you tonight, ma'am. Make sure you don't miss my show, alright? Hey! Take me from him? What is this? Are they playing some kind of game with me? I really can't tell if they're teasing me or trying to pull me into something else. Your shift's just about over. I'll keep the shop open for another hour. Until we hire someone new, I'll have to cut back the hours a bit. Got it. And what happened to your arm? This? Oh, something scratched me out back. Pretty sure it was a huge cat or something. Be careful. Bandage. Check the wound, actually. Did you clean it already? Yeah, it's nothing serious. Still, this is some pretty big claws for a stray cat, huh? You see the size of that thing, you wouldn't think it's weird. Anyway, I gotta go. I don't want to be late. I'm heading to the circus tonight. Sounds fun. Tell me how it was later. Maybe I'll check it out sometime. Sure. See you later. Circus! Circus time! Circus! Circus! Circus time! Circus time! Circus time! I'm not really into crowded places, but things are pretty lively here. There's a food fair right at the entrance at the big top. Hello there, visitor. May I punch your ticket? Sure. Here it is. Oh, a special ticket. Be sure to keep it safe, alright? You'll need to show it at the attractions. Okay, but what's a special ticket? You got front row seats. I got front row seats? You telling me I got front row? Oh! Nice! Hey. Thanks. Enjoy the show. So that's how it works. The box office tickets are all yellow. I can see a few black ones too, but no pink, green, or even red ones like mine. Alright, let's see what we've got here. There's a pink and black tent over that way, a green one, a purple one, and Parrot's red tent. There's different tents for different acts. Oh, that's sick. Looks like his show isn't on yet. I can visit another one in the meantime. Pink. Oh, so sorry. You don't have access to this area, my dear. Man, okay. Purple. The Jester. Looks like his show's already happened. Maybe there's another one later. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go to fucking Harlequins. Oh, it's already started. Good evening, my dear monsters. Enjoy my show. Far from everything where God's eyes cannot reach, the monsters lived. Forgotten, hungry, silent. Until the man appeared, he raised a tent upon the dead earth and made a deal. Work for me, you hideous little creatures, and I will feed you. How wonderful, thought the monsters, and so they obeyed. But the man brought more men, and more. And they laughed at the monsters. They applauded their pain. What if I charged others to watch? The crowd loved it. But the man wanted more, always more, so he began to feed them less. This way they'll be weak, harmless. He laughed while the monsters rotted in their cages, swallowed by the dark. And then they thought, what if we become human? We could eat as much as we want. No one would hurt us ever again. On a moonless night, when the sky seemed dead, the monsters realized there was an angel among them. Oh, that said sacrifice. That's all I got out of that. I can feed you, grow strong, become human, and build a home for us. Please no, we have no choice. She's the weakest of us. You will give us the strength to go on, the angel said. Oh. And then, as if she never existed, she vanished with the wind. Our little miracle. Our little sacrifice. The next morning, the man returned to laugh. But the monster's eyes had changed. They were free. They were hungry. And that's how the monsters became human. Oh, and what happens next, you ask? After that, the new humans took their home and began to travel together, searching for a place to build it again and live happily, just as the angel had wished. Thank you, little monsters. People actually seem to enjoy that. That story felt pretty macabre, though. I'm glad you came to see my show. I was hoping you'd be watching. Hello. Your story was peculiar. Yeah, it's a pretty old story from the circus. It's a tradition to tell it on certain nights. Oh, I see you're wearing my gift. That makes me so excited. Alright, I forgot about that. What? It looks good on you. Almost too intimate. Do you like it? Are you trying to tease me? You frown in protest, but his words caught you off guard. You don't even know how to respond. He smiles, clearly amused by your confusion. I love that. I love seeing my green marks so close to your skin. Like a quiet, forbidding kiss. He's way too close. You take a step back, bumping into the circus tent's cold wall. What is wrong with this guy? He leans in, bracing his arm around you. Running away? Scared or secretly enjoying it? Enjoying it? No way. Do I?
I hate him.
He smiles wider at your hesitation. No need to say a word. I can read you. Your silent screams. Red doesn't suit you, darling. That intoxicating green, it fits better. His scent, it's good. And that voice, it's too intense. He smiles again, like he knows his poisonous words have burrowed into your mind, then slowly steps back. I want to give you another gift. A candy apple. What do you say? A candy apple? Yeah, we call it a love apple or a macado amor. But don't get the wrong idea. It's just an apple. Well. Was that Pierre? Was that my homeboy Parrot? Was that my homeboy? What was that? Where did that come from? Always so dramatic. I guess someone around here really hates apples. Does this kind of thing happen a lot around here? Try to look at the knife sticking out of the candy apple, but the harlequin in front of you quickly snatches it away and tosses the apple aside. No need to worry, ma'am. I'm sure it was just a little joke. Looks like I'll have to delay it. Oh my god. Looks like I'll have to delay giving it to you. Pretty dangerous joke. Are these guys actually insane? Alright, I should get going. The next show's about to start. Have fun, ma'am. Who knows, maybe I'll see you around. I hope I don't see him around. What? Ha ha ha. Okay. Well, weirdness aside, I'm actually getting kind of hungry. Maybe I should grab something to eat before heading to Parrot's tent. Buy food. Well, why not? Popcorn. This smells so good. You scarf down your snack and quickly feel full. I better hurry before the show starts. Oh, a theatrical performance. Yeah, I was wondering what show without speaking would be like. He shifts into a more menacing posture. His smile turns sinister. He moves in strange hypnotic dance as the lights change around him. He's a dancer. Feels like he's dancing with his own shadow. Except when he moves one way, the shadow moves the other, in a really creepy way. Whoa, he really changes on stage. A stage assistant. Even from here, you can tell how much taller he is than her. She does not look like she wants to be there. Knives? The one moves slowly, stretching her arms a few times. Whoa. You hear some people cheering for him to hit her. It's just acting. And some crazy people. Relax. Those knives are landing. That wasn't real, right? Just acting. It's just a performance. Of course it was. But the blood, the way she fell. Damn it, I need to get out of here. Air. I need air. This is insane. Just a show. It's just a show, right? I guess the creepy atmosphere of this place got to me a little. I mean, the stage lights were low for a reason, right? It was just a scare, that's all. I wasn't expecting it. But I feel like the atmosphere here is messing with me. My body feels warm in a good way. Why is this one pink? What? You feel a heavy hand land on your shoulder. Have I always been pink? No, I've been white. It's you, cheese. Oh, look at him. It looks so worried. You're awfully quiet for someone covered in bells. What is it? Oh. Slowly raises his hand, hesitant, and runs the claw of his glove along the pin of your collar. Oh, right. You're a friend? He gave it to me. He grips your collar, leaning in closer. Never mind, he looked very scary right now. Barrett? I have both of their pins. Thanks. They're definitely not friends. He lowers himself, slowly getting closer to you and leans in to whisper. My heart's beating faster. You feel your body slip into euphoria. You're warm, your hands are shaking, and a strange joy rush take over while your heart races wildly in your chest. Did you like my show? Yeah. That was amazing. I can't even explain it. At first I felt scared and unsure, but now everything feels so incredible. Why is there pink on my screen? He's so close, whispering, keeping the conversation just between you two. My heart won't stop racing. Maybe I actually like him? I feel kind of nervous when he gets this close. Would you like me to show you the rest of the circus? Of course. I'd love to spend more time with you. He takes his hand, he blushes and squeezes yours firmly. I'm certain you'll find this place delightful, my lady. You smile, panting lightly, staring into Parrot's grinning mask. So how do... Hold on. If this is a mask, how do I know that he's blushing? I'm feeling
If
dizzy.
it's a mask, how does his mouth?
I think something's
His
wrong
mouth
with
moved.
me. But, my lady, your body collapses as your consciousness drifts away. You can feel someone holding you lightly. Every sound seems a bit distant, though you catch a brief flashes of what's happening before everything fades to black. What? Oh. I see now.
Wait, honey. Did you want to move your model so Jack could read the text?
There's no good way for me to move it.
Well, you had that
I don't have it set up right now.
floating. Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's alright, Ghosty. I'm here to take care of you. Oh, my lady. You've been waiting for this, haven't you? But not nearly as much as I have. It feels so unbelievably good to hold you like this. Am I being assaulted right now? Finally mine. The warmth of your skin, the scent of your flesh. You have no idea what you're doing to me right now. Wait, he's broken right there. So I'm assuming that the story that Harlequin told was a real story. The way your breath falters, how your body yields, even in unconsciousness. It's cruel of you, you know. To be so lovely, so delicate, and to leave me here, on the edge of losing control. Oh, Lord. I have so many thoughts, my lady. So many desires. My hands ache to explore every inch of you. My teeth itch at the thought of marking you, claiming you as mine. But no, not yet. That wouldn't be any fun, would it? You need to see, to feel, to choose. Choose me. Even though I'm completely obsessed with you right now, I'll wait. For when you wake up, I want your eyes on mine. What were those noises? Ugh, my head. Where the hell am I? It feels so unbelievably good to hold you like this. Finally mine. To leave me here on the edge of losing control. Oh wait, I already read this. He did this? This is really happening. I need to... You feel something wrapped around your ankle. It's chained to the bed. Did I get kidnapped? No, no, no. I can't get it off. Your voice fades when your eyes meet his. He slowly sets a tray of food near the bed. So slowly it feels like he's even afraid of the slightest movement might scare you more. You're finally awake, my lady. I miss seeing the color of your eyes, hearing your voice speaking to me. Your body pulls back on instinct, and you press against the headboard. He raises his hands gently, trying to calm you. Of course, you must be afraid right now. It's alright, my lady. I won't hurt you. You drugged me. Ghosty. And then you kidnapped me. No. I didn't know there would be something in the food that day. Please, my lady, don't scream, alright? The others, they're nearby. Just listen to me. I saw you vulnerable, my lady, and it made my body tremble in so many ways. I mean, you felt it too, didn't you? I mean, after you ate, your body became receptive, light and yielding. But then I saw how the world looked at you in that moment. Like prey. Saw those hungry eyes trying to devour you, yearning to touch you. It drove me mad. I had to bring you somewhere safe. Somewhere under my watch. He reaches out to touch you. Don't touch me. I chose the wrong one! I had to hide you before anyone tried to lay a hand on my lady. Because if someone dared touch you, someone other than me, I don't know what I might have done. He's terrifying. He says such sweet things with this dark, hungry tone. I'm so glad you woke up, Ghosty. I was starting to get worried. Worried? But I'm the one who... You were breathing so slowly, so still. It was like you were gonna disappear forever. Like... No, I'd never hurt you like that. I wasn't done! Where's Parrot? Please, my lady, listen to me. Place your trust in me. He places a mask gently over your face and leans in, resting his forehead against it. I give you my word I shall return. If you wish for me to let you go, I shall. But please, wait just a moment. And should anyone enter, say nothing. Do not breathe too heavy. Pretend you are merely a doll. You will be safe, yes? Do not move. He binds your hands with a rope, but it's far too loose. He faked tying me up? What's that all about? Maybe I should... Just try to move your leg, the weight of the chain pulls back. 1, the model's amazing. 2, this is interesting to see you playing this. Also, my K-drama was mean to me and made me not have a good love story. Oh, well, now you can see a unhealthy love story. Right, I can't get out of bed. I just have to wait. You hear footsteps coming closer. Is he back already? Should I stay quiet like he asked? That's not him. That's Harlequin. Well, what do we have here? That's not him. I knew he was hiding something, but this is way more fun than I thought. I must be really lucky today. Tied up to a bed in a place you were never supposed to be. He climbs under the bed and slowly makes his way towards you. Let me go! I don't wanna. A doll. We only have a doll, bro. Go away. He warned you, didn't he? Here. If you scream, things will get really bad for you. His mask. It just opened? And his tongue. It's green? Guess it still tastes sweet. You're already shaking? Oh, you hadn't seen that yet, huh? Want to see more? I could show you later. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. You're creepy. The other guy's creepy in his own way, but you're just creepy. Now the real question is, what should I do with you? It's so hard to choose. Keep quiet. That's what Parrot told us to do. Oh, are you pretending to be a doll? How much did he tell you? Now I'm curious. But you're not fooling me. Your body's way too tense, and your arms are trembling. He pushes your body down against the mattress. Ew! That sound was kind of visceral. The mask should not crack like that. No, that's what I'm saying. Oh wait, he's got the cracks and like darkness too. Interesting. And sinks his teeth into your neck. You tense up but stay silent. I know you're in there. You feel something warm and wet glide over the spot where he bit you. Ugh. Well, such resistance. I'm impressed. He slides the knife along your skin. You feel the cold blade touch your neck and trail down your chest, but he doesn't cut you. You're doing so well. Didn't even flinch. I'm a doll, don't touch me. But your skin dulls on you. All those little goosebumps? Was it the blade's cold kiss? Or was it knowing you're completely at my mercy? Barrett! Barrett, come back. No escape and no eyes of your loyal guard dog watching over you. It's still quiet. Oh, this game is really turning me on. You're still trying to process what just happened. Your body's trembling without hesitation. Please go away or hold his hand. I don't like how strong he comes off. I feel like I like Parrot a lot more because Parrot's like the yandere type. He's very quiet. He's creepy in his own way, don't get me wrong. But I don't like how this one's just like aggressively in my face. Just me? Both of us making sounds of disgust at the same time was funny, bro. Also, Harlequin, put the knife back away. Parrot, come back. I actually don't know how to say his name. He's just forever Parrot for me. I don't know. This guy's just coming off a little too strong. A little too strong, you know?
I hate him.
The other guy, like, you know, he's like, ooh, fancy, like, he's a yandere, he likes me, but, like, he won't, like, attack me or anything, I think. Yeah, yanderes don't normally attack you, if I remember correctly. But, like, why is this guy up all in my business? There ain't no reason for that. Oh my, I opened up my VOD. Back, Demon Harlequin.
I was wondering why I heard you twice.
No, you're good.
I think I hear double. Okay. Oh, that was your shared screen. I'm dumb.
I don't know. He's very just aggressive. Maybe that's why I don't. Please go away. Please go away, Harlequin. You whisper so softly that the mask nearly muffles your voice entirely. Yanderes don't attack you unless, like, heavily break their heart. Yeah, like, Harlequin's literally, like, on me right now. Please. You sound so sweet when you beg like that. Harlequin, read the room, bro. I'm just a doll. He leans in and whispers. But let me remind you, I wasn't the one who tied you up. I'm just here because someone else left you all alone with the wrong predator. He let me go? Why? Why? Is that what you're thinking? Because this is way more fun. I don't like prey all tied up. I like the hunt. And the best part is gonna be the look on his face when he finds out. Oh my god. Run, kitten? This isn't just an act. Something seriously wrong with these two. Who are you? Ow. Sorry, I don't... Don't miss the attractions. You're gonna love it, visitor. What? Carol? Oh, how embarrassing. Darling, your mask just slipped off. Don't worry about her, visitor. She's just playing her part. Around here, no one ever breaks character. Not for anything. But you look kind of shaken. Are you enjoying the promotional attractions? Or did something happen? He shifts his posture. Oh!
I wasn't expecting the trap remix.
He shifts his posture after locking eyes with you for a moment. Are you lost, visitor? This area is really close to the restricted zone. Wait, is she the pink one then that I couldn't see? Did they kidnap my coworker? My fucking... Give me your bag. Carol, you're not supposed to be here. Carol. Which way did you come from? I think I got lost or I was just passing by. I got lost. Your voice falters, but he doesn't buy it. That's... Alright, visitor. These things happen. Please, come with me to guide you to the exit. Pretty sure the exit isn't that way. No, it's okay. The exit's this way, right? I can go on my own. He grabs your wrist firmly. I insist. Parrot! Parrot! Parrot, my boy! Hello! Parrot, what are you? Is she with you? Bloody hands? Chat, hold on, let me move me. Parrot, what'd you do?
Hopefully you beat the shit out of Harley Quinn.
Is that blood? That look. Parrot, she's scared. It's like she saw the part of the circus we don't show. Circus of horrors. Of course she's scared.
Do not speak.
In that case, I'm certain our guests will be thrilled to return for the nightly attractions, won't she? Give her your ticket, Parrot, or I'll have to offer mine. Everything's fine. She'll be delighted to join us again, right, guest? Parrot stares at you and subtly nods. Maybe it's better to play along. I don't know what's going on here, but if I leave, I won't have to come back. Sure, I'd love to. Perfect. We look forward to your return, guest. Oh, look at him. He's so worried. Oh, wait, maybe I am falling for Barrett. Maybe I am.
He's best guy.
Please don't. Just let me go home. I think that was too much for my head. No, Barrett, wait, I'll stay. I'm so sorry. I know I'm scared shitless, but look at you. He nods and you step away. I'll wait for you there. Was that all? What was all that? I don't even know where to start freaking out. He kidnapped me. What if he did something to me? How did things escalate this much? Carol is there. What is happening in that place? She looked like a doll? Maybe Shit, did I leave the balcony door open? No, it's not open. Oh, Parrot, come here, Parrot. But, my lady, I can explain everything. Oh, you're just a little... My baby. My baby, and I love you so much. Then why was my missing friend there? Looking like a doll to begin with. Except for that. You take a step back. Don't run away, my lady. I might end up liking pulling you back. Just hear me out first. Please. Okay. Oh. He gently pushes you down onto the mattress in silence. Oh, goodness me. Thank you. Thank you, my lady. I shall try to be gentle and restrain myself for your sake. Is that alright? I feel your fear, as if I could taste its sweetness with my tongue. I see it, you know. What does that do to me? I was right, it's the freak circus of horrors. Oh my god, I need him. I don't know how to say his name, by the way, guys, so he's just Parrot to me. It makes my body burn, throb, yet it terrifies me to think you might not no longer be able to look at me. It makes me want to hold you tighter, to break you with my heat. Piero, it's French, I think. See, that's what I thought it was. Piero. Yeah, I knew the T was silent. Alright, fire. He's no longer Parrot. until you forget that anything else in this world exists besides me, suffocating every thought of yours with my presence, and your eyes cling to my image as much as I want to cling to you right now. If you run again, I don't know if I could stop. Not again. Would that make you scream? I could end up addicted to pulling you harder and harder until you surrender. But I also want so much to see you stay. Stay because you want me to. I could do anything for you if you just gave me the chance. Even if I had to crawl through darkness until I lose my mind and set the rest of the world on fire. You feel his breath heavy against you. His hands tremble slightly, as if he's holding himself back. Piero, something inside him feels so broken. It's beautiful, but also sad. I can't tell you anything about your friend right now, but if you want her, I'll bring her back to you. Just not now. Because he saw you looking at her too much. Piero, what's happening in that place? I can't say. If you know more, they'll get suspicious. I don't want them coming after you. So the less you know, the less your eyes will give you away to them. You feel your heart racing. Them? Your heart's racing. Such a sweet sound. Trust me, my lady, I know you're scared, but you need to go back to the circus today. What? Are you serious? After all of this? I know, but if you don't go today, he'll remember. The others will get suspicious and they'll come for you anyway. But as long as you have my red ticket, you'll be fine. Just keep it with you and walk around the circus. You don't even need to go on the rides if you don't want to. Piero, even after everything, it's hard to stay mad at him. He really seems to be trying to protect me from something. Why are you doing all of this?
Why? Because I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so much it hurts. It burns.
Like hellfire in my chest. Sorry. Okay. When your eyes meet mine that day, it was like my whole existence was screaming for you. Screaming your name, Ghosty. So loud and desperate, it echoed through my soul. I just hydrated. Why do you guys keep fucking... You felt it, didn't you? It's still too soon for me to answer that. I need a little time after this madness. You're blushing? Did my words reach you, my lady? You're intense. Did you know that? I didn't mean to embarrass you, Ghosty. Do you want me to leave you? Do you want me to leave? Give you some space? I know you need to calm down for tonight. No, he can stay. I guess I just... I stay quiet while I try to get my head straight, okay? He smiles brightly and jumps onto you, resting against your chest. He's a fucking cat! I love it! Very well. I'll be quiet again. Anything you wish, my lady. He rubs his face against you, while his body slowly relaxes at the sound of your heartbeat. Pet him. Pet him right now. Huh? There's something weird under his hat. His body tenses over yours, and he practically holds his breath. Sorry, I won't do that again. His scent is so subtle and pleasant. Oh, ad jail? Alright, we'll wait for adders. I think it is. I think that the story that Harlequin told us is indeed real. Because I remember...
I was trying to look because the eyes were colored.
Yeah.
And there was no red one. I think he was the white one.
Yeah, because his eyes are yellow. Technically. But you're right. There wasn't a red one, but there was a white one. But there was also a green... What was it? Green, blue, pink. Pink was the angel that died. And then I think purple as well.
Oh, does that mean your friend's gonna die?
I don't know. Like... The only thing I can think of is maybe they use the pink jesters as, like, food. Because that's what the angel did. The angel gave herself away, or they gave themselves away to feed them and make them more human. So I think that's how the story plays out right now. Methinks.
So they're gonna sacrifice her to get more human, because I can tell by the way.
Wasn't
she
it the
pet him
pink?
that he has a horn under that hat.
Yeah, for sure. There's something under that hat that he doesn't like. Didn't he also
It's definitely a horn.
kill a pink jester as well, or a pink doll? Wasn't she pink?
In the act?
Yeah, in the act. There was one that was pink.
I don't remember.
I thought. I don't remember
if
the
she was
color.
colored or not.
Yeah. I'll wait for Agile
Yeah.
layers. Back? Are we back from ads?
Agile.
Yippee! Okay. His scent is so subtle and pleasant. Things have gotten kind of crazy ever since Piero showed up. He kidnapped me, but that doesn't bother me. I can feel he didn't do anything besides tie me up. Oh my god, look at him. And now he seems like he's trying to protect me. Even though he looks pretty unstable at times, should I really trust him? I don't know why those two suddenly seem so interested in me. But I'll wait a little longer before deciding anything about them. First, I'll do what Piero asked and go to the circus tonight. And then I can think about what to do about those two. I've got so many questions. I know. Alright, I guess we can go and just get this over with. Very well. What? He marked you? You ran your hand over your neck, remembering that awkward bite. Well, may I cover it? I mean, if you want to, I really don't want Harley Quinn's mark on me. He kind of like assaulted me. So like, if you want to cover it, with my mark. Let me replace his with mine. Piero. Jesse.
Just so we don't have to wait again.
Piero, are you seriously asking me to let you bite me? Yes. That was pretty direct. Is this really that important to you? He nods. I love that every time they tell you that he nods, he makes a little jingly sound. Agree. If it hurts too much, you can ask me to stop, my lady. Ugh, he's got way too sharp teeth. Okay, that's hurting more now. Piero! I apologize. Now, when you feel that warmth on your neck, you'll remember me, not him. Sure, I guess. Well, it's time to go. I'll follow you from a distance, my lady, as soon as my performance is over. I'll come to you. Alright, you owe me a lot of explanations. So, see you there. See you, my love. Piero, we're on the second floor! Yeah, of course, he just jumped. Shouldn't even be surprised. Oh. Greetings, visitor. May I see your... Ah. The guest with the red ticket, aren't you? Just act natural. I just need to act natural. Of course. I said I'd come back. Enjoy yourself, guest. The circus has sharp eyes. It always notices those who seek joy. Or those who hide a secret deep in their hearts. Well, I'll wander around a bit. God, he knows that I know. Should you need anything, please do not hesitate to speak with me. And one small warning. The pink tent and the black one are beyond the bounds of your ticket. You won't be able to enter. There's a black one? You didn't tell me that before. Sure. Oh wait, the pink one is what we originally got, and it said that it was no good. Since I need to walk around, I'll check out the other attractions. Looks like Piero show's in the middle. Can't get in. The Harlequin show's already over. Maybe there'll be another one later. And I'll probably end up running into him at some point. So I can't go into the black tent. Purple tent? Looks like this is the last attraction of the night. I can check out the others until it's time for this one. Okay, blue tent. Tent of mirrors. Don't trust what your eyes see. Nice marketing. Let's see what they've got here. It's just one of those mirror houses. Doesn't really seem like a scary attraction. Where did everyone go? My tent doesn't usually attract that many curious souls, especially ones who seem so eager to run away. How did you do that? Where did you take them? Me? Perhaps it's you, who only thought you saw the others in here. You might be alone from the very start, just you and me, red ticket guest. Here. In here, dear guest, you'll see things you may not want to. Whispers from your heart, or maybe warnings from beyond. Don't trust what your eyes see. Enjoy. But what do I... Just keep moving forward, guest. You'll find the exit eventually, though I recommend not stopping for too long. I've heard monsters live in the dark, and mirrors sometimes show more than they should. Oh, that one's broken. What a cold shiver. I know those eyes. Are you really going to let me come close? Do you like my warmth? I can see it in your eyes, what you think of me. Why are you looking at me like that? This place gives me the creeps. So I did that one. Do this one. What a creepy trick. There's nothing behind me, but I can almost feel some warmth. Something warm right next to me, like the mirror shows. Ah, my lady. Piero? Can we be together forever? Wouldn't you want that? Just you and me together? Please say yes. Please let me hear your sweet voice say it. Stay with me. Please, my lady. I recognize that knife. I can't stop. A pet? Why would he want a creature this troublesome? Look at you, so weak on your own. You've been lucky so far. But luck is a fickle thing. It always runs out eventually. And when that day comes, I'll have my fun. I'd love to examine this specimen. Wonder how much one can endure. Bet you can handle the high doses of adrenaline. Let me run a few tests. It'll be entertaining. How far can I push before you finally beg? Or perhaps your heart will give out first, like the other dolls. Dolls. You're an interesting guest. I told you not to stop, yet you wanted to look at every mirror. So, the monster caught up to you. You feel warmth breathe against your neck. Don't. Don't look back. Trust me. Obey. Perfect. I like that you're obedient. You know your place here. Wait, I want to know if you look behind you, because is that it? Ah! Okay. You'll be just fine. Can you die in this game? Heavy claws pressing down on your shoulder. What is touching me? An illusion. What is that? This is the part where the other visitors usually say, "What an impressive trick." But not you, right, guest? Your eyes doubt. I suppose by now that doesn't work on you anymore, does it? That's fine. It's me, guest. I just want to see you a little closer. After all, not everyone makes it this far. But there's no need to tremble. I don't bite. His voice, it sounds like it's coming from behind me. I think I'll keep an eye on you as well. You can keep going. The mirror at the end of the hallway is my personal favorite. It's intense. Why is someone trying to get out of that mirror? Why can't I? Oh, this one's broken. Kind of melted, and it reflects words that aren't written anywhere in the tent. Where's that noise coming from? It smells like something's burning. Really strong. Need to get out of here. Okay, last one. Is this really a mirror? It's freezing in front of it. Oh, that's moving. I hate that. And those eyes, they look like they're following me. Hello? Can I leave now? Ticket guy? Come closer. Come closer, come closer. I don't know if I want to, but I feel like if I run away, the ticket guy's gonna get me. Oh, but I feel like if I go closer, I'm gonna become a doll. But if I run away, yeah, I'll come closer. What? Oh! She's pretty, even though she's one of them. You're right. And if that one's a problem, well, teach him some manners. Maybe he'll be the first to fall. And then the ones, one by one, will wither away in this pit. I will. Feed him. Wait. One more. I'm scared. If they try and touch me again, will you save me? Safe? Tomorrow, we'll relocate her. The others, we'll let them starve. They're too dangerous to keep. You're right. We won't risk it. She'll be useful for something. Moonless night. Maybe this will be our last one. I'm so hungry. Me too. How long has it been since we last ate? These are the monsters! This is the story! I can't move. Is alive? I'm scared. You're the weakest one. Thank you. Why did you do that? There's no turning back now. No. No, no. Eat. Why are you smiling? No. Sorry. He wasn't... Your eyes burn like you haven't blinked in a long time. I like that I grabbed the subtitles. Thank you. It's been so long. Each one of them crafted their own shield when remembering that day. To protect themselves, each in their own distorted way. I just wanted to tell someone. Did Harlequin kill you? My god. What does that even mean?
I knew he was a bitch.
The exit. What was all that? Congratulations. You made it, guest. You reached the end of my tent. You were in there, weren't you? Don't trust your eyes. It felt too real to be an illusion. Thank you for entertaining me. Red ticket guest. Harlequinator? I'm assuming so. So all of these are like... I also like that my name is red. They're all color-coded. And it looks like the green took a bite out of pink. And green we know is Harlequin. You take a deep breath, trying to calm yourself down. Cyan tent? You see someone stumbling out of the tent, pale, rubbing their arms with a terrified look. This looks straight out of a haunted house. Only one person goes in at a time. You're handed a clipboard with a feather pen to sign. A contract? What kind of attraction is this? Contract. Individual consultation. Feeling sick? Hallucinating things that don't exist? Hearing voices calling from the circus dark tents? Maybe it's time to visit the doctor. Entering this tent is entirely your responsibility. Once inside, only the doctor decides when the consultation ends. We are not liable for any injuries during this attraction. Obey the doctor and you'll be fine. Well, I'm already here, so why not? I think the doctor was the doctor cyan? Who is the red one that we were... I'm confused. Because Piero is yellow. Oh. Yeah, doctor's definitely red. Come closer, dear patient. Don't be shy. Oh, that? Don't mind them. I promise they can't bite you. Well, not anymore. Home? I don't know how to... No turning back now. Don't forget to roll up your sleeves, please. You smell sweet incense, a scent you've never experienced in your life. You wanted to run off, didn't you? It's fine. No one really likes visiting the doctor. After all, these aren't any secrets between the doctor and their patient, right? Oh, Lord. Wait, what are you doing? It's part of the procedure. I don't want you to freak out and run off. You could hurt yourself, you know. There are dangerous instruments in an office. Ooh. On your file, it says you're not feeling unwell. You're just curious about the attraction, right? So, you came here to see me, to test whether the fear of being my guinea pig is worth it. Guinea pig? It's okay. I'm your doctor, and I'm going to examine every fiber of your being, Ghosty. You're cold. Is your blood pressure dropping? He holds your wrist firmly, checking your pulse. No. Psha, what? I would never have my blood pressure drop, actually. Oh, what a firm pulse you have. Beating with so much life, if you let me. You feel the sharp tips pressing against your skin. Shouldn't you be using a stethoscope? You're not really sick. I don't need it. I can feel it. Ah, your heart. It sounds like a drum. Like it's asking me to open your chest and take a closer look. Never mind, doctor's my thing. You like the doctor? No, this is not good. What? You're breathing heavy. You're breathing too heavily, too. And your pupils are wide, dear patient. Unnaturally wide. Hold still. Just because he's the doctor, Probs? No. No. Don't move. You feel something sharp press against your skin as his hands draw you closer. My trauma doesn't like the doctor, but also I do, like him. No! Chat, you can't like him! This one's creepy. Still. Never mind, chat, you guys might be onto something. Your eyes say a lot, just like every involuntary reaction of your body. I noticed the moment you walked in, you were hesitant, curious, and your expectations were different from others. What do you mean by that? A normal person would be impressed by this place, but you? You locked your eyes directly on me. I wonder why. Tension. Trembling fingers. Interesting. Are you nervous? This guy, is he gonna notice every little thing I do? That expression. You're actually enjoying this, aren't you? You really are a fascinating test subject. He's close. I can smell so many things. Incense, herbs, something metallic, and coffee? Your body keeps leaning towards me. And say you like danger, don't you? Mm-hmm. Ahem. I have already got your diagnosis. Are you actually examining me? Of course I am. I am your doctor, my tasty patient. And I can see your heart racing. Your skin's cold, and your eyes. Your pupils are blown wide like they're begging for the light to pierce them. You're scared, and you're enjoying it. But I'm not here to judge. What was that? I love hearing the blood quicken under your skin. An injection could fix that. You'll relax. Don't worry. You don't have to hold your voice back. This is the place to scream if you want. No, no thanks. I think this is getting a bit far. I promise you'll feel a lot better. I feel like that's the pink shit. I feel like that's just the pink. Chat, do I accept or deny? Chat, what do I do?
They're gonna say accept. I've been reading the chat. What they're saying.
Never mind, chat's a bunch of freaking freaks. Frickin' freaks, chat. Frickin' freaks. Give me that needle, boy. Yeah, you frickin' freaks. Flip a coin. Hey Siri. Flip a coin.
Wait, say heads or tails for which one?
Heads, tails. Siri, flip. It's heads? Fuck. Oh wait, it did tell me to comply, and I'd be safe. So maybe I should accept. If the doctor says so. I was joking. This is the part where patients usually struggle. So tell me, patient, are you feeling more relaxed? Yes. Perfect. You behaved so well. Most patients scream and struggle when I show the needle. So am I free, doctor? Being tied like this is still kind of uncomfortable. I'm still deciding. That could keep you here. Listen to your heart wear itself out until exhaustion. Or until your adrenaline just runs dry. Excuse me? Don't worry. Just a little medical humor. I'll let you go now. But before that, know that I adore this fake faith of yours. You lie, and I pretend to believe. I lie, and you pretend to swallow every word. Jesse, please forgive the thirsty coming from us. It's Dr. Man's fault. Why are you apologizing to Jesse? Why are you apologizing to him? He's not the streamer. I'm the streamer. What? Why are you guys
I
apologizing?
appreciate the apology.
Why are you guys apologizing to him?
Thank you.
Because he said he was reading all that. I'm reading too. Very subtly. I'm voice acting for you motherfuckers. This man can make me
I
like going to
offered.
the doctor. Oh my. What a fun game. But I see something different in you. Your eyes don't lie the way they should. Yes, keep voice acting, ignore us. Bro, curse. My voice, I'm just not gonna voice act, you know what? I'm just not even. You know what? I'm done voice acting normally. I'm done taking it seriously, chat. You guys are only gonna hear me like this from now on. This is how your doctor's gonna sound. I'm sorry, no, I love you, please. Oh, sorry.
If I voice act for the doctor, I'll make Everest uncomfortable.
Voice act? Aw. You guys like my voice acting? Ah, chat. Please? Oh my god, chill. Alright, fine. Let me grab some more water. Okay. Please don't Jesse Bestie Broski, homie. Wait, should I like take this mega seriously? Should I sit up? Should I sit up, chat?
You locking in?
Am I locking in for voice acting? I got you.
Do you want to switch off with me? I can lock in.
We'll find a character for you, don't worry.
Yay.
I was just over here on my hands and knees for voice acting. No, lock in. Oh my. Okay. Well, I just like to question things, you know? Interesting. So, could you... Are you hungry? You behave so well. You deserve a treat. May I see your ticket? Sure! If you let... He leans in and takes the ticket from your pocket. Oh, actually... Seems I've run out of sweets. Hello, you one. Hun? He returns your ticket and starts untying your hands. Is it because Parrot claimed us because that's his ticket? That was weird. He looked kind of hesitant after seeing Parrot's ticket. See ya, Doc.
Remember, make regular visits to your doctor.
Oh, he's German? That kind of makes sense. I don't know why I expected him to not be.
A German accent.
It sounded German.
No.
That did sound German. Or Russian. Probably Russian. I don't know.
Maybe more Russian, but Waves rolling the R's.
Okay, I really don't want to hear about this, Mr. Holocaust.
What?
No! Chad, do not
What
clip
did you
that.
say to me?
Nothing. I didn't say anything. I have to pee. I have to pee really bad. I'll be right back.
I'm also going to pee. Tell her I'm gone.
Chat, we learned really early on in my streaming career that I can't do accents. We learned this when I played a Jacksepticeye Egos game, okay? We learned that I can't. Jesse went P2, by the way. Oh, I see. He ran away. We behaved. Good job, guys. Hi, Skilly. Yeah, I was playing a Jacksepticeye fan game with the Jacksepticeye Egos, and we learned very early on. Yeah, baby! Thank you, Skilly, for the tier 1. Okay. Remember, make regular visits to your doctor. There's too much adrenaline in your blood. I like that. Enjoy your walk, Ghosty. That was weird. Like everything in the circus. For a second, For a second, I really thought I'd be stuck in that tent. You run a hand over your neck and feel a bandage. He actually scratched me, but I didn't even feel it. I didn't even see him put this bandage on. Are you okay? I hear the sniffles. I'm sick. That's about it. Okay. Still, I want to look around a bit more. Piero said I'd be safe, didn't he? Purple or black tent? Purple? This tent has a stage. Maybe something theatrical? Welcome, welcome, my precious monsters of the day. Did you come... Ugh. Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. Okay. Did you come thirsty for blood? Hungry for terror? You know, my dear monsters, the Stark Garden is the window to the fear you've been craving. And I, as your noble jester, couldn't possibly deny shivers to my starving little monsters, could I? Tonight, I'll tell you a story. Hold your gasps, it's just a harmless story about forbidden love. Hello, Jester. Oh god! Wait! Oh, wait, hold on! We know these. Hold on. I don't think I know this one. This is... wait, okay. This is Harlequin. This is Piero. No, this is Piero. This is Harlequin. This is, I think, Jester. This would be, I think, Ticketmaster and then Doctor. Based on the masks. Okay. In a forgotten valley, where the moonlight seemed to hesitate before touching the ground, the nameless ones lived. Creatures of hidden shapes, hungry eyes, and hearts. That had long forgotten how to beat for anything beyond hunger. But among them, there she was, a sweet little flower in a garden of black thorns. Okay, this is the angel. This is the pink one, right? This is the pink clown or whatever that we haven't been. Columbina. Okay, so this is the angel that oh my god, I have to piece together so much lore. This is the angel that Harlequin, I think, bit. Oh my god, wait, I love her. Oh my god, okay, I'm getting distracted. Sorry.
The girls said everyone has a different idea of what happened.
Yeah, everyone replays the memory differently. So this must be because we learned Harlequin's version of events. We learned her version of events, or was that the mirror, the Ticketmaster's version of events? Because that's his booth. And now we're learning Jester's.
Oh, it would probably be his
version of events then. Okay. Shaped like a gift from the heavens, Columbina. He's delicate, with no claws, almost no fangs. Just a gentle presence among the shadows, smiling warmly at monsters. A smile that even lit up the darkness. I fucking love Jester so far, by the way. Look at his dramatic ass. What is he doing up there? He is telling a story. He does not need to do all that. And it was for that tender warmth that he, the silent monster, lost himself. Was Columbina and Piero together? Or like at least
That bitch.
wait. Are you telling me my baby lost his girl? Every day he watched her.
We're just a
Her
side
light
hoe.
steps, her kind words. No. I think this is like a legitimate love, not a side hoe. I appreciate the side comment though.
No, we are side hoe.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. With yanderes, it's not side hoes. It's one person.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Th-
It's not the
It's
same
true.
when you lose. I don't know. I wasn't denying you,
Yeah.
so thank you.
Anyway. And the more kindness she gave, the closer he came. He sighed for her. He sighs for me. Kept her for the broken flowers of the valley. And tried to hide his claws so she would not wound herself upon his skin. But there was the other. Oh my god, we're literally Columbina right now in this situation again. Wait, do you think maybe that's why Harlequin bit her? Because, like, he was jealous? A monster with venom in his voice and his hands, who hid within the shadows of lovers' meetings. Yeah, because this is Harlequin's eye. I remember that on his mask. Who saw the light in the lover's eyes and felt envy gnawing him from within. Why are your eyes never on me? Why can't it be me? The venomous monster clenched his claws when she slipped away from his attempts at seduction. His teeth ground together whenever she pulled back in his presence. Every refusal was like a crack splitting his very being. You make me sigh too. You make my heart race. But something inside you scares me. She was just as kind to him, and even though she sighed in his presence, her heart beat in a different way. Till one day, the other grew tired of the game. Tired of the glances that were meant for him. Tired of the sound of the lovesick monster's footsteps drawing near. You know, my sweet you know, my sweet flower. Maybe it's not you that I love. Maybe this feeling is something else. My heart beats for another reason. Maybe I just want what I can't have. If I do this, maybe then I can love you in the right way. Only my way. Mine. Please, please don't. And when the love-struck one arrived on that starless night, all he found was the poison. Found the other standing there, blood still warm on his hands, a crooked, stained smile on his face. Behind him, delicacy lay on the ground like a crushed flower, eyes still open in suspense. Surprise, sorry. Are your eyes on me? Ugh. Is your hate on me? Oh, rage, pain, I love it, I love it. Someone had to do it. There's no turning back now. No, eat. There's so much flashing. How do I voice act like that? And the valley filled with the cry of the love-struck monster. A cry not of hunger, but of pain. A scream that would echo through the centuries, haunting every shadow. Every night, every breath of those who dared to love there. Because in the Valley of Monsters, love is just another way to devour each other. We have no choice. And that day, the nameless shadows grew stronger in the dark. The poison? It found that hatred tastes far sweeter than love. Once again, another performance that turns my stomach. Why does the blood look so real? Why did the screams sound so real? Wait for the crowd to clear out before getting up. I always loved this show. Right? I love the bloody macrobear axe. The blood looks so fake, but oh well. People seem excited. Guess I can leave now? Hello, visitor. You look paler than the others. Did my tent get to you? Or something else bothering you? Yeah, I'm fine. I was just leaving. I noticed, you know. Noticed what? A huge shadow hanging over you in the circus? A shadow with golden eyes. I love his design. I don't know what you're talking about. May I see your ticket? Here we go again. Why do I always get chills when someone asks me that? Red. Just as I thought. I'd never seen that ticket in anyone's hands before. I don't know what he's after, but I don't like where this is going. I'm good. Stay? You know, dear thing, I say a lot about what goes on in the soul, and yours, they scream. Did you come here because you wanted to? Because someone sent you? I chose to come? I did. I chose to come. No one told me to come here. I chose to come to your purple tent. Did you know people's eyes betray them when they lie? A slight movement to the side. I'm kidding. Or am I? People lie with their mouths. Their eyes never bother. You take a step back. Fear is curious, isn't it? It makes us see monsters where there are only shadows. You know, visitor, there are many kinds of fear. The fool's fear, the kind that makes you run when the monster draws near. The wise fear, the kind that shows you it's too late to run. And then there's the fear that's born when you realize you saw something you shouldn't have. Do you know which one yours is? Your eyes are telling me right now. Enjoy the rest of the night, sweet visitor. I have a feeling we'll meet again in the circus. Sorry, Ghosty, I'm feral, unfortunately. Oh, I don't care. One last thing.
Don't go far, visitor. I'll know how to find you if you try.
I got his voice right. Let's go. I knew he was a little gay twink. I knew he was cunty. I love it. What was that? I felt such an intense threat. Just like Pero said. Maybe if I knew a bit more, I feel like I wouldn't have walked out of any of these circus tents. I should just leave. My apologies, my lady. I didn't mean for you to scream. Piero. Look at him! He's got some baby eyes! I'm sorry, Ghosty, for dragging you into all of this. I never meant to involve you, but I'm incapable of staying away from you. Even if it's to protect you, I simply can't. But I promise you, if you stay with me, I won't let anything bad happen to you. It's alright, my lady. You don't need to answer me now. You're scared. I can wait. Your scent, it's exquisite. Forgive me. Piero, aren't you mistaking me for someone else? We just met. No, my lady. You're something new in my life. You made my heart beat differently. I know who you are, and I want to know more. Even if we belong to different worlds, I can't help but love you. Why? Because you are you. I can feel it. And nothing in this world could be more real than that. You are my destiny. I'll let you return home, my lady. Please go safely. I must stay behind to make sure everything is under control. You really are intense all the time, huh? Until tomorrow, my lady. Good night, Piero. Good night, Ghosty. No! I feel like they're most dating sims or like games, you're like, hey yo. I don't simp
Yeah.
over repo characters. That's different. Not like friend swap games, but like storyboard games, definitely.
Yeah.
You take your way home, reflecting on an exhausting day. This time, it wasn't a question. He just said he'd come tomorrow. Which means, no matter what I said at this point, he'd come to me anyway. And I think I like that. Damn. I better hurry. Feel something heavy as you walk, though you're not sure if it's the eerie atmosphere of the circus, or the weight of the new eyes watching you in the dark. End of chapter 1. No! 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 Are you sure you want to return to the main menu? This will lose unsaved progress. Yeah. What is day 2? I saw this. Hello, dear visitor. Good to see you again. But you're very far. Come closer. Now, what are your pronouns again? Oh, interesting. She, her. Sick. And your name? Ghosty. Okay. Of course it was Ghosty. Thought you'd tell me a bit different. I thought you'd tell me a different one this time. Why would I tell you a different one? It do be just me. Sure. So let's recap a few things. I remember you helped Piero that day, but did you help with his injury at the cafe? Oh, I have to remember my recap?
Jingle, jingle, pay attention. Pay attention. I said your favorite word. The back rooms. Okay, the back rooms. Dingle, dangle, dingle, dangle.
Thanks. I did help him with the injury.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And in Harlequin's tent, did you enjoy his company? No. It was expected. Did you eat anything from the circus that day? Popcorn.
Mm-hmm. Popcorn.
Very good. Good luck, dear guest. Oh?
Oh, I think you're just replying.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's so sad. Oh my god, his little smile, look at him. Okay, so yeah. Oh. These are terrifying. Okay. Ooh, I didn't know that there were actual saves. That sucks. Preferences? Load. Save history. Weird. I wonder what night 2 is. I just quit the
I think it
game
just brings
instead
you
of.
to the second day.
Oh, I mean, I didn't even know there was a second day. It said that I had something new, did it not?
I didn't see that.
It was right after I talked with Jester. Hold on, I have to load this back up. I accidentally closed it. Well, that is cool though. I think day 2 is one of the yeah, I totally did not save that entire time. I didn't even know I was supposed to save. That's fine though. Hidden scenes. That's what I Jesus Christ.
I am the storm that is approaching.
So I have this one. What is this? Unlock scenes. Oh, we found this one. Yeah. Because this was either her story? Yeah, okay. I don't know what this is. And then
the resolution's too bad.
wait, wait, this is new. Hold on. Oh, Harley Quinn. Oh no, no nicknames for me? I skipped through the first part of this. I know where your eyes are. Don't make me remind you. Don't break the rules. What do you take me for? Too deceitful for me to trust your words. Such hypocrisy, Jester. You think I don't see that crooked smile behind your mask? That little thing might be useful. Who knows? I agree. If we need to take extreme measures in the end, I want this one. She's got hungry eyes, curious about everything this circus breathes. So, if she keeps coming back to your tent, you'll keep her claws off her, won't you? You've already forgotten that night, haven't you, Harley Quinn? Need me to remind you that Piero's claws are sharper? He was tamed once, and you know it won't happen again. Your poison isn't stronger than him. Isn't it? I'd love to find out. Good luck, Harley Quinn. Oh, I'm mixing voices. Sighs. Those two are a real headache. Interesting. Okay. So I'll probably play this again a different day.
Is there a part 2? Like, buy it somewhere?
So second day is the only one that they have currently.
Yeah.
For now, the game has all character introductions done. The rest is still being developed. 5 characters, 1 bad ending. And that's about it. What is planned? Piero's ending, Harley Quinn's ending, protagonist's ending, all together. MC with both Piero and Harley Quinn. The script is still a work in progress, so no endings are fully planned out yet. For now, after finishing the current version of the game, the story continues for one more in-game day, which is still in development.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Okay, interesting. It seems like it's still pretty active though. So we don't have to worry too much.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Well, how fun. I'll probably have to play it again and actually load it and then maybe see if we can try and find the bad ending, since there is a bad ending. I accidentally started it here. So, that's on me. Automatic saves. Ah, wait. Fire.
Oh, that was day 2.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
No. So, okay.
Well, interesting. How did you like?
It was pretty good. Yeah. Hmm. I'll upload the VOD. What?
I get because I never
No.
I forgot my mic. Oh, copy. Oh.
Oh. Oh.
Bella? It is I. Audio cut for a bit. Yeah, I forgot to switch over my mic. But yeah, that was super fun. I definitely want to play more of it when it comes out. But I think it's just gonna be a really short stream, and I think I'm gonna end here, so then you guys can go watch the VOD.
2 hours and a half. It's 2.5 hours.
I'm tired. I'm sick.
Oh, fair enough. But still, I don't know. Comparison to some of your VODs, you used to pump out 14-hour VODs.
Yeah, well, I'm sick, and I don't
That's okay.
feel good. Don't feel good. So, it isn't short. Swear to God, it's good. We don't talk about the 14-hour. We don't talk about the 14-hour. I don't know how I did that one time. I'm guessing you're going to call it here. I think I am. I'm extremely tired. And I have work tomorrow. But I'll see you guys all probably either tomorrow or Friday. I don't know which one I want to do yet. But I love you all. Goodbye, chat. Goodbye. I'm gonna go rest.
Bye, chat.
Bye, chat.
Goodbye, chat.
Bye-bye.
I will see you later, chat. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you later, alligator.
Okay, bye, chat. Lovers, lovers,
Goodbye,
lovers.
chat.
Should we raid
See you
someone?
later.
Should we be nice and go raid someone?
Yes.
Well, alright.
Your shared screen on Discord is pixels and I can't see anything. Just so you know.
Oh, I see. Okay. Settings. Megas live? Ooh. Just a baby little streamer like me? Raiding a big streamer like that? Oh man.
Numbers are relative.
True. Okay. Let's see. She is fine. We'll go raid her. I love you, Dad. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, chat.
Lovers.
See you later.
Bye, guys. Go give her love. Go tell her that her hair looks pretty. And then don't forget. Oh, we have no raid message. That's alright. Just tell her that the spirit sent you.